Hi, what's up, y'all? Y'all good? I hope so. Y'all, let's get into episode 3 of Worst Roommate Ever. And it's called, we're going to say Bringing Down the House. And this documentary is about Tammy. Okay, so the episode opens with this man by the name of Christian making a call and a woman answers. He's asking how she's doing and she, does the same. So they're really just checking in on each other. And as he narrates, we find out that he's talking to his mother. And he says, on the phone, she sounds like a nice, sweet lady, but don't let the voice fool you because she will hurt you. Then he says that Bo is the one who taught him to keep your friends close, but keep your enemies closer. And he said that that is one thing that he does with his mom. So the lady on the phone was Christian's mom. Then they introduced us to Bo. Bo grew up in Alaska and he says that he felt like he fumbled his way through life. For the most part, he really didn't know what he was doing in life. He just knew that he had to get it done right. And growing up in Alaska was enough for him to say that he had to get out of there. And so he joined the military in August of 1997. And that's where he met Rich Fritz. They became like brothers. Rich's mother said that Rich was the type of person who would do anything for you. He was the life of the party and he was her best friend. Bo said that Rich was big on family and Bo was assigned to Rich's squad in the army. And what Rich taught them most of all was you want to get home to your family. Bo said that he learned so much from Rich and that family was very important to him. Rich got out of active duty in April or May of 2021. He was living life to the fullest, but he passed away on Father's Day weekend. He wasn't feeling good for 2 days. He was diagnosed with strep and passed away at home. He was 28 years old. It was a shock to the entire family and to Bo. And knowing how close Bo was to Rich, he was getting out of the military too. So Tammy, Rich's wife, offered him a room at her house since he didn't have any place to stay or any plans for what to do after the military. And with it being rent free, Bo said that he was surprised because he was not expecting that call, but he was relieved because he didn't have a clue of what he was going to do when he got out of the military. So December 23rd, 2020, Bo moved in with Tammy and her son Christian. He didn't know Tammy very well, but in the army, they always talked about taking care of your own. So with Tammy being Rich's widow, that made her family by extension. He said that Tammy was like a big sister. They hung out and made sure, she helped him adjust outside of the military. She kept all of Bo's important documents like his birth certificate and social security card and things like that because he didn't have nowhere to put that stuff. So she kept it in her fireproof safe, so he could keep up with it. Fort Carson, they said, is in Colorado Springs and all the guys would come over to Tammy's to hang out to get away from the barracks. Mike and Bo are best friends, and he said that Bo moved in with Tammy out of loyalty to Rich and to be a male role model for Christian. Bo said that he treated Christian like a little brother. Christian said that Bo always took him with him wherever he went. He taught him how to play games. He always put him first. Tammy, she worked for the Colorado Springs dispatch office on third shift, and she slept most of the day, leaving Christian with Bo and some of the other guys from the barracks. Bo took care of Christian. At this point, I almost feel like he almost his son. He would get him ready for school, pick him up, feed him, everything. Bo said a lot of folks had questions about him and Tammy. They wanted to know if he was dating her, and Bo said that it was strictly a roommate situation. And Tammy had a friend guy named Steve who she would hang out with every weekend. And every weekend, she would leave Christian with somebody so that she can go be with Steve. And Christian's grandmother, she understand how Tammy will always choose to put her boyfriend and her friends over her child. So August 2004, Bo and Tammy had been roommates for like 20 months at this point. And one night, Tammy and Bo were hanging out at the house because Tammy was depressed because her and her boyfriend had a fight. So she went to, she just wanted to stay at home and, get lit. So Bo, he joined her to keep her company. He said they had been drinking and talking And then Tammy, she wanted to make one of her favorite drinks, which she called it Tawaka BOMB. Bo had never heard of it, but he tried it, to appease Tammy. But as soon as he drank it, he got an excruciating headache and just became really sick. He said it wasn't a normal sick. He could tell that something was going on with his body. And the next morning, he realized he had passed out. And he tried to make it to the bathroom to take a shower for work, but he couldn't even walk. He had to drag himself to the bathroom. But when he got in there, he just passed out again on the floor. And Christian came in because, Bo is the one who takes him to school. And he saw him laid out like that. And he got scared and called 911. They rushed Bo to the hospital. The doctors were suspicious and gave Bo a spinal tap because they thought he was on something. But the test came back inconclusive. Bo didn't know what happened. He said the only thing that changed was that drink that Tammy made him. Christian said seeing Bo laid out like that really scared him because the same thing happened to his dad. One minute he was fine, and then the next he was gone. So then they take us back again to August 2004. And Rich's mom said at that point, Rich and Tammy had been married for 7 years. She said that Rich always wanted a family, the house, the white picket fence. When he decided to marry Tammy, his mom didn't understand why he wanted to marry someone he hadn't even known her that long. The mom didn't have a nice feeling about Tammy because she was all about the materialistic things. She didn't feel like Tammy really loved her son. And being that Tammy was all about the materialistic things, Rich never denied Tammy anything she wanted. But Rich was getting worn out because no matter what he did, it was never enough for Tammy. He told his mom that he didn't know what else to do. I don't know what else I could do to make her happy. So by that time, they were talking about getting a divorce. Rich told his mom that he had worked hard for everything and everything was in his name. So he said Tammy can go, but she wasn't getting everything that he had worked so hard for, and she wasn't going to get Christian. 2 weeks after that conversation, Rich wasn't feeling good. He was diagnosed with strep throat. Christian said that he made his dad a Father's Day card, and it scared him to see his dad spitting out BLOOD into a blue picture. And seeing the worry on his dad's face, his dad told him when he got better, they were going to hang out. But that day that he saw his dad was the last day, and his dad passed away on Father's Day. The mom said that Tammy didn't even call her and tell her that her son had passed away. The people from the military came and told her that he had passed. All of his friends were shocked because Rich was so young. He was 28. Rumors were going around that he passed from a plague of a prairie dog. Rich's mom said at the funeral, Tammy played the role of a grieving widow, but her gut was telling her that something wasn't right with Tammy. Tammy had him cremated against his wishes, and a month after his passing, Tammy was selling everything. She sold the house, the cars, the boat, and collected both life insurance policies. He had $150K in insurance from the military, and a couple of weeks before his passing, there was another policy taken out for the same amount. Then June 30th, 2005. Okay, so after Bo left the hospital, Tammy was still out there enjoying life, baby. Tammy loved ladies' night and she was picking up the tab. Drinks flowing everywhere. When they got back to the house, Bo passed out. But he started coughing real bad because the house was on fire. He made it out the house, and Christian, he was at his friend's house. His mom told Christian that either Bo left his PlayStation on, he knocked over a candle, or he was drunk. And she was only mad for 20 seconds, and she was over it. She never said anything else about it. After the fire, Bo knew that being around Tammy wasn't healthy for him, so he moved in with one of his friends. Christian was in the 5th grade at that time, and Christian and his mom, they moved into a 2-bedroom condo. But she was never around. Christian had to learn how to do basically everything on his own. He was scared. He was just, still a kid. And so he would hide in the closet a lot because he was at home by himself. He said that every time him and his mom were together, It was always an argument. He said by the time he got to the 7th grade, he was checked out, and his relationship with Bo suffered as well because Bo didn't live with them anymore. And it was like the only way for Bo to see Christian was through Tammy, and Bo was trying to distance himself from that lady. September 2007, Tammy had left the sheriff's office and went to work at a construction company. She offered Bo a job, but it didn't last long because they couldn't make payroll, but they didn't understand what was going on with the books. So June 2009, Tammy started hanging out with Sean and Michelle. He said that Michelle was very nice, but Sean wasn't. And after some time, Sean and Michelle moved in with Tammy and Christian. Now y'all ain't got no but the 2-bedroom. So Tammy gave Christian's room to Sean and Michelle, and Christian was forced to sleep in the room with his mom or sleep on the couch. And Tammy got, on a lot of candy, and she was using it religiously. Christian says that he was very uncomfortable being around Sean because he was mentally abusive. He threatened to unalive Christian on several occasions, but Tammy was never around to witness the abuse. He said that even when he told her about the things Sean was saying to him, she didn't care. July 2009, Flynn, who is a former detective who worked his last 14 years in the financial crime unit, Detective Flynn said that Tammy was a very complex character, but in the summer of 2009, the Colorado Police Department was working several cases dealing with identity theft, credit card, and check fraud. And their primary suspect was Tammy. And it started with a criminal complaint filed by the construction company that she used to work at as a bookkeeper business manager. The same place she was able to get Bo hired on it, remember? Her position gave her signature authority on checks at the company, but she started issuing bad checks that she had Sean and Michelle cashing. Bo, he was broke and he needed a job, so he talked to his folks who were going to help him get a job back in Alaska. Tammy was very pissed that Bo was leaving Christian, so that made her extremely angry, so angry to the point that Christian didn't even recognize his mama no more. And the final weekend of Bo being in Colorado Springs, Christian, Tammy, and Michelle helped him pack up, and then they went out to play pool. They had dinner and just hung out. Then everybody left because one of them said that they weren't feeling well. Later on that night, Christian woke up, but the house was pitch black, and neither his mom, Sean, nor Michelle was there. Christian thought that they had went out again, so he didn't think nothing of it, so he went back to sleep. So over at Bo's apartment, he's asleep, but then he hears a knock at his door. He went to find out who it was, and then he was like, it was Boom. And then that's when they take us to August 3rd, 2009. So the next morning, Christian and Tammy arrived to take Bo to the airport. Christian knocks on the door. He knocks over and over, but Bo, he doesn't come to the door. So Christian, he's getting really worried. Bo's mother hadn't heard from him either. He was supposed to keep them updated about his flight. So his mother called the apartment manager to do a wellness check. When the apartment manager went in, baby, there was blood all over the floor. You could tell that someone had been dragged across the floor, and Bo was in a semi-conscious state. He called the landlord, he called the police, and when they got there, he was transported to the hospital. He suffered a traumatic brain injury, a broken jaw, and multiple fractures. Something hit him, but he had no recollection. When he woke up, he had been in the hospital for a week. The officer who found him in the apartment, he didn't think it was foul play. He thought he was just drunk and fell. So he didn't file a police report. But Bo's dad, he had been in law enforcement for over 40 years. So he knew things weren't adding up. His parents came down and his dad goes into police mode. He brought his camera and started taking his own crime scene photos because he was like, you didn't just fall. Somebody attacked you. Tammy told Christian that Bo was in the hospital, but Christian didn't understand, why is he in the hospital? Because we just left him and he was fine. But Tammy told him to, like go see Bo. And Christian said to see him like that really hurt him so bad. He said mentally, Bo was like a child. He didn't even know who he was. He didn't know where he was. He didn't know who Christian was. And that hurt Christian so bad. Bo's family, they flew back to Alaska to take care of him, but they didn't expect him to get well because the cognitive damage was that severe. Christian said that after Bo left, it's like everything just went downhill. And one day Christian noticed a bat in their living room, an Xbox that looked just like Bo's with the same sticker on it and everything. And being a kid, he just thought that Sean had an Xbox just like Bo. And he knew that his mom said that Bo had fallen, but he had started to think I don't think that's true. But he wasn't sure because he wasn't old enough to comprehend what was actually going on. So in the fall of 2009, more citizens started to complain about fraud. During their investigation, they saw that Tammy had a lot of sensitive information on people and she would apply for credit cards in their names, but she would have it mailed to her. She was targeting people in her apartment complex. She would hide the documents in a grate in the fireplace, and she would even buy wigs to look like the women on the ID she had stolen. The detective also found out that Sean and Michelle were actually two heavily addicted homeless people that Tammy had brought into her home around her son, and she had hired them as her henchmen. So Tammy called Rich's mom and told her that she was scared because she felt like she was being investigated and she felt like people were following her, but she wouldn't tell her what all she had done. So November 18th, 2009, this is 4 months after the attack, Tammy was arrested for identity theft and Rich's mom got custody of Christian. And with the power of attorney, she got access to Tammy's condo. And she spent 2 days cleaning up that condo. And while going through paperwork, Joyce, that's her name, she found an insurance policy that Tammy had taken out on Bo. She had him listed as her significant other. So Joyce called the detective over Tammy's case about her findings, and he called the insurance company, and he found out that Tammy had went online and applied for the policy. And from 2005, when the house was set on fire, until 2009, when Bo was attacked, Tammy had been paying for the policy with her credit card. And since Tammy was listed as the 100% beneficiary, she didn't need Bo to sign anything because it was an electronic signature. So the detective called Bo's dad to inform him, and he said that was Bo's first time hearing anything about a policy because he didn't take one out. He didn't know nothing about it. Bo said everything started making sense because Tammy was adamant of keeping his birth certificate and his social security card in her safe. So one day Joyce contacted one of Tammy's brothers and they met up for dinner. The brother told Tammy about a tape recording. No, the brother told Joyce about a tape recording between Tammy's mother and Tammy's boyfriend. And the mom was telling Steve, Tammy's boyfriend, that Tammy wanted her son to come out there and unalive Bo for the insurance policy money. Steve couldn't believe it. But Pat, Tammy's mother, said that Tammy was capable of things that you never dream of. And if you crossed her, you've crossed the devil. So thanks to Joyce, the detective had, he opened a second investigation for attempted 187 of Bo. They were able to interview Tammy's brother Philip, and he told them that one night they were at a nightclub and Tammy shared her plan to knock off Bo. She said that she was going to spike his drink, and if he helped, she was going to pay him $25,000. Philip, he want no parts of it. So Tammy started to panic because she knew that Bo was going back to Alaska. So that's where Sean and Michelle came into play. And Bo says, looking back on it, he felt like all of this had been a plan since that day he got a call from Tammy when he was getting out of the military, when she offered him a place to stay. She called him. He didn't even know her number. He felt like she knew that Bo didn't have a good relationship with his family. She already had a leg up because she felt like he was already separated from his support system. So wouldn't nobody be looking for him? Ain't that crazy? So after folks started to hear about what Tammy tried to do to Bo, questions started to rise about whether or not she had anything to do with her husband Rich's passing. But the unfortunate thing is she had him cremated, remember? So Joy says it makes her sad because she'll probably never be charged for her son's 187 because they didn't have any evidence to support it due to the cremation. So April 2014, the DA reviewed all of their evidence and returned a 3-way indictment for Tammy, Michelle, and Sean for first-degree attempted 187 of Bo. Bo said that the photos that his dad took were used in the attempted 187 trial. And on May 13, 2015, Tammy was found guilty of first-degree attempt 187 of Bo. Sean pled guilty to first-degree attempted 187 of Bo, and he received a 26-year sentence. Michelle pled guilty to first-degree burglary and received a 15-year sentence. Tammy is serving a 48-year sentence. She was never charged with any wrongdoings in relation to the passing of her husband. Christian said that when he heard that she was getting 48 years, he was relieved. He said that that would allow Tammy to be where she needed to be. But he still, allows her to call him because he needs to know her every move because she is so manipulative. And if she ever got out, he wouldn't let her back in his life. And at the end of the documentary, Bo and Christian met up and they watched some old VHS tapes of Richard. And Bo said that with his traumatic brain injury, there are holes in his memory. And he had to go through speech therapy and physical therapy. And with intense therapy, he was able to start college classes the following year. He said he's not as angry with Tammy anymore. He's a new Bo because the old one was lost with his memory. Child, that is crazy. But that was episode 3 of Worst Roommate Ever. Like, y'all, don't be getting no roommates. These folks crazy out here. Get down in the comments. Please like, share, subscribe, and I'll talk to y'all later.